Fear and excitement produce the same physical sensation in your body, the same racing heart, the same tight chest, the same surge of energy flooding your limbs. The only difference is the label your mind assigns. By the end of this, you'll understand how to consciously choose that label, and why the ancient Hermetists considered this the most practical skill a human being could develop. The Kybalion, that dense little text attributed to the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, lays out a principle most people skim past too quickly: the principle of polarity. Everything has two poles. Heat and cold are the same thing, temperature differing only in degree. Love and hate are the same thing, emotional investment differing only in degree. And here's where it gets personal. Fear and excitement are the same thing, the same energy, the same chemical cocktail, the same electrical charge moving through you. They sit on a single spectrum. You've felt this already, even if you never had language for it. Think about the last time you were about to do something that scared you. A job interview, a difficult conversation, standing at the edge of something new. Your body was screaming. But was it screaming stop or go? That ambiguity, that moment where you genuinely couldn't tell, is the proof that these emotions share a root. Most people make a critical error at this exact junction. They try to calm down. They try to push the fear away, replace it with peace, force themselves into stillness. The Hermetists would say this is like trying to make fire cold. You're working against the nature of the energy itself. The energy is already moving. It wants to move. Your job is to change its direction on the spectrum, to slide it from the fear pole toward the excitement pole. The volume stays the same, the channel changes. This is transmutation. The word literally means to change in form. The substance remains. The expression shifts, and it requires something most spiritual teachings gloss over. You have to fully feel the original emotion first. That's the part people skip. They hear transmute your fear and think it means a clever bypass, a mental trick to avoid discomfort. The Hermetic teaching is the opposite. You sit inside the fear, you let it fill the room. You notice where it lives in your body, the tight jaw, the shallow breathing, the heavy pressure behind your sternum. You give it your complete attention because you can only transmute what you're willing to hold. Think of it like gripping a dial. You can only turn it if your hand is actually on it. Avoiding the emotion means your hand is nowhere near the dial. Suppressing it means you've taped the dial in place. Transmutation means gripping it firmly and rotating it, degree by degree, toward a different expression of the same force. So, what does the rotation feel like in practice? Start with fear. You're afraid of something, a confrontation, a leap of faith, a truth you need to speak. The fear is real. Your palms are damp, your stomach is tight. Now, instead of telling yourself to relax, ask one question. What if this energy is preparation? What if your body isn't warning you away from something dangerous? What if it's winding up for something important? That single reframe changes the polarity. The sensation doesn't disappear. It shouldn't. You need that energy. A sprinter doesn't want calm legs at the starting block. She wants every muscle fiber loaded, coiled, ready. The energy is identical whether she's terrified of losing or thrilled about running. The difference between choking and performing lives in which pole she's tuned to, anger works the same way, and it might be even more misunderstood. Spiritual communities often treat anger like a disease, something to heal, release, transcend. The Hermetic perspective is more nuanced. Anger is concentrated life force with a blade on it. Suppress it, and the blade turns inward. Express it recklessly, and you cut everything around you. Transmute it, slide it along the spectrum toward determination, and that blade becomes a tool. Where does anger sit on the polarity spectrum? On one end, rage, destructive, scattered, burning everything it touches. On the other end, fierce clarity, the kind of focused resolve that makes you get up at 5 in the morning and do the work nobody sees. Same fire, different hearth. You've met people who carry this transmuted anger. They have a quiet intensity. Something happened to them, an injustice, a betrayal, a moment where the world showed them its teeth, and instead of becoming bitter or collapsing, they became precise. They channel the heat into building something. Every action has a controlled burn behind it. That's anger transmuted into determination, and it's one of the most powerful forces available to a human being. The practical method mirrors what we did with fear. Feel the anger completely. Let it speak. Where is it in your body? Chest, hands, throat? What does it want? Usually, anger wants to destroy something, dismantle something, push something away. That impulse contains raw directional energy. The transmutation happens when you redirect that impulse from destroying what you hate toward building what you value. A critic might say, this sounds like repackaged cognitive reframing. Just relabeling emotions, and there's a fair point buried in that objection. Yes, the label matters. But the Hermetic teaching goes deeper than vocabulary. It says the emotions are already the same substance. You aren't pretending fear is excitement. You're recognizing they were always one energy wearing different masks. The reframe works because it's true. Try relabeling sadness as excitement. It doesn't stick. The body rejects it because those sit on different spectrums entirely. Fear to excitement works because the physiology is identical. The Hermetic map matches the territory. There's a discipline here that takes time to build. The first few attempts feel clumsy. You sit with the fear, you try to shift it, and your mind snaps back to the old label like a rubber band. That's expected. You've spent years, maybe decades, automatically categorizing that sensation as something to flee from. The groove is deep. Transmutation means carving a new groove, and grooves don't form from a single pass. Start small. The next time you feel a flutter of nervousness before a conversation, before hitting send on an email that matters, before walking into a room where you feel out of place, pause, feel the flutter. Let it exist without trying to silence it. Then consciously name it as readiness. Your body is getting ready. That interpretation is just as valid as the fearful one. And with practice, it becomes the default. With anger, the practice is slower because the energy is hotter. When anger rises, the window for conscious transmutation is narrow, a few seconds maybe. After that, the emotion takes the wheel, and you're just a passenger, so you train in the low-stakes moments first. Minor frustrations, the small daily irritations that barely register. Each one is a practice rep. You feel the heat, you notice the impulse to push against something, and you ask, what do I want to build with this? What could this energy construct if I pointed it somewhere useful? Over weeks, something shifts. The gap between the trigger and your response widens. Where there used to be an instant reaction, the snapping at someone, the anxious retreat, the spiral, there's now a breath of space. In that space, you have the dial in your hand, and you turn it. The Kabbalion calls this the art of polarization, a mental art known to masters of every age. And the word art matters here. You wouldn't expect to pick up a paintbrush and produce something worthy on day one. The mastery is in the practice, the repetition, the thousands of small transmutations that build the skill until it becomes second nature. One thing the ancient texts are clear about: transmutation only works within the same class of energy. You can move fear toward excitement because they share a pole. You can move anger toward determination because they share a pole. You cannot transmute grief into joy through this method. Those require a different kind of inner work. Knowing the boundaries of the principle is what separates understanding from wishful thinking. And that distinction reveals something important about the Hermetic path. It respects the emotion, it respects you. Every feeling you have is a form of energy that's already moving, already alive, already trying to serve you in some way. Fear is trying to protect you. Anger is trying to mobilize you. The raw impulse behind each one is intelligent. Transmutation honors that intelligence while redirecting its expression. You've been told your whole life to manage your emotions, control them, keep them in check. The Hermetic teaching asks something braver. Work with them. Step into the current, feel its full force, then guide it. The river doesn't need a dam. It needs a channel. The next time fear grips your chest before something that matters to you, try one thing. Place your hand on your sternum. Feel the heat, the speed, the aliveness of it. And instead of asking, how do I make this stop? Ask, where do I point this? That question alone changes the polarity. The energy was always yours. You're just learning to aim it.